I don't know why the average person doesn't know how to properly set a table, or make a bed with hospital corners, or clean silver, or cook a basic meal. In short, I've run into a fair number of people who honestly don't know how to keep house, and it truly befuddles me. I understand that with our busy lives, the drudgery of housework is something that many people outsource. Why spend a beautiful weekend inside cleaning cobwebs and dusting when you can pay someone to do it for you? Don't worry, I'm not a fan of housework either. I remember many a weekend when the sound of the old Filter Queen vacuum would dominate our house. Everything was dusted and then the lower surfaces were vacuumed, only to replicate the entire process on another floor of the house. It was a long process. It was tedious, and you could better believe that my mother could spot if you did a half-assed job. I hate to properly clean a house. Years after my mother's death, it occurred to me that not only was she teaching my sister and I how to maintain our home, but she was also imparting valuable, marketable skills. Skills that, if we needed to, could provide us with income. In short, it was a life lesson and an act of love at the same time. When my mother came home on college break in the early 60s, there were no internships and seasonal jobs waiting for young black women. Many people forget that this country isn't too far removed from the practice of sanctioned segregation. So she did what many other women in her situation had to do. She became the help. She would take a train from her home in Northwest Indiana to the suburbs of Chicago to be someone's maid. Obviously, there was cleaning, but there were also dishes, windows, silver polishing, grocery shopping, laundry, and childcare duties. No, it wasn't glamorous, but it was legitimate work. My mother never really talked about her time as a maid. One of the only stories that she would tell is that she worked for a family that kept kosher and mistakenly washed both the milk and meat dishes together. Horrified, the lady of the house broke both sets of dishes on the floor in front of my mother, made her clean it up, and deducted the cost of 2 new sets of dishes from her future paychecks. That incident, along with many others, may have motivated my mother to not only complete her undergraduate degree, but to go on to get her master's in education. I would suspect that if you can essentially manage a house, you can complete a master's degree. My thoughts often turn to my mother at this time of year and the wisdom she imparted to both my sister and me. She was right about making us take typing and Latin classes in high school. She was right about choosing your friends carefully. And she was right about a woman having her own money. But most of all, she was right about teaching 2 little girls, reluctant at times, to cook, clean, and care for a home. Because I'll be honest with you, her sweet potato pie recipe has put some money in my pocket when I needed it the most. I'm glad I came to the realization that my mother does know best. I simply wish she could be here to hear it.